I've seen a lot of good fights, and I've also seen a lot of bad fights. And I've even seen some that turn tragic. And with today's story time, I'm going to be talking about some of the most craziest fights that I ever saw in my lifetime, and where it took place and what happened. And no more talking, let's get straight to it. Okay, so this first fight, it takes place around 2009, 2010. I was around like 10 years old at the time, and this was when I was still living at Stonecrest Townhomes. And back then, Stonecrest Townhomes was like the hood. What I mean by like the hood, a lot of crazy things happened. I would say by far the most craziest thing that ever happened was when somebody got killed in the playground area, quote unquote, my backyard. And to make matters worse, I think my mom even saw that happen too. She seen someone get killed backyard at the playground area. And ironically, it was the same day that my dad got out of prison after 8 years. Yeah. So this first fight, it happens around in the afternoon. I was upstairs in my window just looking out and everything, because whenever my mom left the house, I wasn't allowed to have the door open because she didn't want nobody to come through the house or whatever. And if she caught me doing that, she'll whoop my butt. So I'm just chilling and everything, and then out of nowhere, I just see like a whole bunch of people just like forming up. And it's just not like 5 or 10 people. No. It was like 50 to like 200 people just forming up in the streets of the parking lot with the music going and everything. It seemed like a fight was about to happen, and evidently it did. It started off with 2 chicks throwing hands, they whooping each other butts. Then it started off with like another fight of 2 chicks fighting. I think it turned into like a 4-on-4 match, like a fatal 4-way, like the WWE pay-per-view event. Yeah, it got that bad. People was like cheering everything. Some were fighting. Like it looked like a freaking mini riot. It was that bad. But luckily enough, nobody did not get shot. No one didn't get killed, but it did settle down and everybody started walking or going home. And those fights, it happened for like a good 20, maybe 30 minutes long. And it was that crazy. So another story, another fight that I saw that was crazy. This was in, I think, high school. And what had happened was that it was these 2 chicks fighting, and one was a heavy set and one was thick as ever. And they were known to be like good friends, or so I thought. And so eventually they had a scuffle, they had a falling out, and they saw each other in the hallways, and they got loud, and it seemed like they was about to throw them hands, and it did. Those 2 threw them hands, and the thick one, she was whooping the big girl's butt, and then the thick girl's white friend came in. I guess she had problems with the heavyset girl too, and she throwing hands, because by the end of the fight, tell me why the heavyset girl was freaking leaking from her face and everything, screaming like, "I'm gonna mess you up, I'm gonna kill you, I will mess you up." And I'm just looking like, oh my God, she really got messed up. And it was so bad to the point, the people that was in my classroom, because it was about to be 4th hour, it was 4th hour economics, and I forgot the teacher's name, and the teacher, he was a real cool guy. I don't think he was there that day, but then the assistant principal, he was like, y'all all need to go. Y'all all need to go. And we went to one of my other teachers' classrooms, so I had in senior year, and his name was Mr. Billings. And Mr. Billings, he was a good teacher, good person in general. He was one of my favorite teachers. And so, yeah. And then after that happened, it was lunch hour. I had be lunching, whatever, and I was chilling with one of my friends, Wesley, and everything, and we was just talking, kicking it up, just talking about some BS or whatever. Then I see a couple of foreigners throwing hands, and it wasn't no 1-on-1, it was like 2-on-2, Apparently they had some issues with one another and they was throwing hands too. And me and Wesley, we were just laughing our butts off too, like, oh shoot, look at them. Like, it was that bad. Like, it was just an international fight day at Everett High School. And so another couple of fights that happened that I saw that was insane was this. It was this one time. It was between, this didn't happen, but it was really about to happen. So it was this white kid. He was like, I don't know, like 5 feet something. And I guess he has some issues with this tall black person. This person, he was like 6'6" or 6'7". And the white person was talking like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And big fella, the tall guy, he was like, what's up then? Like, what's up? And then just when it was about to happen, some of the white guy's friends was holding him back because they knew what was up. Like, if those two had fought, oh my God, I would have witnessed a freaking murder. It was about to go down. But I understand that it was possible that white guy could have possibly knocked him out too, because just because someone is tall, that don't mean that they are not capable of getting knocked out. I know that. I've seen a video of that happening. Man. So I would say that another fight that I saw happen, and this right here is a prime example of be careful on who you decide to roast. So there was a student, his name was Daniel, and to be honest, he wasn't a bad person. He really wasn't. I just found him very annoying, to be honest. And he was a part of the baseball team. And for some reason, he was able to get all the chicks or whatever. He was friends with a lot of chicks. And this was in 10th grade. I think this was before the picture roast situation on where I had roasted Ratburn and that other chick and CH, and they was about to like split my wig open. This was, I think, maybe a week or two before that happened, or this was after the fact, I'm not for sure. So apparently Daniel had made a video roasting another student, and I'm going to say his real name. His name was Adonis, and when I don't think I ever talked to him face to face, and apparently he was trying to get into an altercation with one of the teachers and lost or whatever. And so when Daniel heard about it, he made a video of Adonis getting like beat up or whatever by pasting his face on somebody that was getting beat up. I never saw the video. I can't confirm if that is true or not, but I think it was, because I'm in a lunchroom talking to a couple of people that I was cool with, and I was like, you know what, I'm about to go get lunch or whatever. And so I get out the lunchroom, going to one of the lunch lines, and it was Daniel. He was talking to a couple of his friends, and then out of nowhere, Adonis comes surprisingly and straight up punches him. He punches him a good couple of times until Daniel falls to the ground. Like, he sneak attacked him, and I think he stomped him out or something, but one of his friends was holding him back, and then security came or whatever. But yeah, he came out of freaking nowhere, punching him, and he fell to the ground. And I just remember just walking out of the freaking lunchroom. I was like, man, this is not even worth it. And then I told the people who I was sitting with what happened, and one of them was like, man, I need to start going to lunch with you a lot more often. Yes, I have seen many crazy fights in my lifetime. I might make another story about this, I don't know. And I would probably say, I'm gonna tell one more story of a crazy fight. So this takes place around freshman year, and this was somebody that I knew. His name was Thomas. Thomas and I, we went to the same middle school, and we were somewhat cool. Cause I think that year Thomas had like came out or whatever. None of my business. I don't have any problem with people that are gay. And so apparently I think he either stole this person's phone or they had like some issues with one another. I think he definitely did take something from this person. And I'm not going to say this person's real name because I don't want to have no issues with this guy. And we all had the same bus stop. And this was after 6 hours. This was the end of a school day. And he was like, man, you better be ready or whatever. And we had all gotten out of the same bus stop. The second stop, actually. I just remember it was me, like 7 or 8 other people watching. And it was the black guy. He was just punching Thomas dead in his face many times. Thomas didn't cry. Thomas didn't do nothing about it. He didn't even fight back. He was punching him, and then I just walked away because it was not worth seeing that happening. And I don't know if he was mad at me or not just because we were friends, but it is not my fault on what situations that you get into. Like, I don't know why he was mad at me, but then the next day, tell me why Thomas dead snitched on me. He said that I was a witness to him getting his ass beat. And it was a security guard too. He was a nice security guard. He was white and old. He was bald headed, and he was trying to get me to tell like on who did it. And he had this freaking like school book with everybody's photos. And I remember seeing the person's picture on who beat up Thomas, but I was like, you know what? I don't see him because I was not going to be known as a snitch. And so I later like telling them like on one of the girls I was there because I was not going to say who actually did it because I didn't want to fight. I'm not the fighting type. I only fight unless I have to defend myself. And that that dude was crazy because he smoked on the bus one time. He was smoking a couple of folks, and I got in trouble because of it. Because the bus driver, he smelled what they was smoking, and then when I got off, he was like, you know better than that. I was like, what the dude was crazy or whatever. And I think he still follows me on Instagram too. I don't have no problems with him, and I don't. And that is the end of this video. And until freaking next time, later.